but a lot of times nowadays you just see people having it early. You see people be able to get this, and that, and then people flaunting stuff on social media. So it makes it feel as if you're behind. And I'm a person where I don't care about that stuff, but I can't say that it's not something that doesn't cross my mind at times. It's not something I've looked at and be like, dang, it would be nice to have. Like, we all do that. But when you constantly make it a part of your lifestyle and make it a thing to where you are now comparing yourself to others and acting as if your life doesn't mean anything, that's where the issue comes in. And unfortunately, a lot of people do that. They just don't talk about it out loud. They're not authentic about it. But I'm somewhere I don't care what other people's lifestyles is. I don't want to. I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to be like me. There's maybe attributes and things that I like that other people can add to their lives that I think can maybe be valuable to mine, but there's nobody else that I want to be besides me, because I know what it took to get here and I know what I'm destined for. And at the end of the day, like, there's only one me. And so, as far as how other people live and all that, yeah, it's cool to see how other people's situations are, but I want to live the way that I'm supposed to live. And so at the end of the day, I just look at people in my life, or things that I may come across, as it can maybe be inspiration, or it can maybe be like, oh, I'll take a few different pieces or nuggets here, but there's nobody that I want to be like. If there's anybody that I want to get closer to, or being like, is like God, right? But um, at the same time, like, as far as, the presence on this earth, like, there's not anybody that I'll say that, I want to necessarily be. Now, I do, as far as the qualities, there's different qualities as far as like my parents that I love, my brother that I love, where it's like, yeah, I love to instill those qualities in my life. That's the closest thing I can say to somebody or people that I want to have certain qualities like. But somebody that I want to be, I don't want to be anybody, because a lot of times when we think about our lives, we don't take into account the things that we've had to do, the mindsets we've had to get through, the different perspectives that we have in life, and we're not even realizing how dope we are as individuals. So we see somebody else's life, okay, they went through this, and that, they got an autobiography, they talking about their story, whatever, but we're taking into context what they've been able to do and where they've been able to get to, but we're diminishing ourselves. And for me, a lot of times, I'm someone that thinks outside of the box, even when I'm having conversations with family and friends, where it's like, I'm the one that's pushing everybody around me to think of themselves in a high light. Like, I can't say that I always have that for myself, but um, it's a true shout out to the people that do see that, because a lot of people don't think highly of themselves. They can have all these possessions, they can be doing well, financially, or doing well for a company or whatever, but who they are as an individual, they don't have any true belief. They don't have any hobbies or anything that they do. So all their energy and everything is tied to what they do, but there's nothing that helps them to value who they are versus what people tell them, or how, people, comment on their looks, or their certain abilities. Like, if you can only feel power and positivity or happiness and validation that other people give you, you're worthless. Like, you're really soulless, because there's nothing that you see in yourself that is beauty. You're only focusing on what other people give you, and at the end of the day, what other people show you and what they tell you about you should be an additive to who you are. It shouldn't be the overall thing that, like, makes you look at yourself and say, oh, well, maybe this is me. Like, no, you have to be able to think of yourself in a high light. And as people come along the process and they tell you positive things about what you're doing, then you can add those and be like, okay, like, I thought of myself as a pretty highly motivated person, or, I didn't really think of myself in that type of light as much, but you know what? Because you told me that, now I'm going to take a look into it, and I got to feel it for myself. I'm not just going to take it because you said this, and that. So a lot of people, it's, we have to realize that a lot of people don't necessarily go through different parts of life to truly understand how to believe in themselves. And you see it all the time. And I try my best to encourage people around me. And I feel a true purpose in my life, one that I'm noticing a whole lot, is to help people to believe in themselves and to really understand their value. And I think that is a true calling that I'm noticing for myself, that I've been given. And the more that I've spoken about it and I've been able to really see it in this time of being by myself, it's helped me to truly realize that, like, I have a special power in that, because it's something I've been doing since I was young. And there's feedback and there's positive notes and messages that people have been giving me for years, being like, dang, DeMarcus, like, you don't know how much that you helped me, and I appreciate you so much. Even times when I didn't even know that I had those abilities. But now that I recognize it, it's even more dope, because as I was going through my life and trying to figure myself out at the time, I didn't even realize like how much I was still helping other people. And so nowadays, like now, because I'm even building my self-esteem and confidence even more, and I truly know who I am, and I know the value that I have as an individual, but still have levels to go, it means even more knowing that now I know that I have the tools versus the times when I may have not felt like that. So that's how I kind of like tie life together. So if you're wondering how I went from the keloid updates to the bidet to this, like that's just how I think about the world. Like everything's a process. Like everything, you might have roads and bumps, except for the bidet. You're gonna have to where you're overthinking it, you're overlooking it, because you're trying to do it perfectly, and nobody is perfect. Like as we're going through our lives, we've got to realize that we're not gonna be able to do everything perfect, and everything that we do in our life, everybody's not gonna see as dope. People are going to be like, that's lame, that's what it is, or whatever. But sometimes we might have to call in, reinforcement, just to make sure that we're on the right path, or just to kind of tweak what we're doing. I had to call in the super to say, hey man, I can't figure this out. Cool. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. And I've had to be someone that has had to do that. If you don't ask for help, it's not going to get done. So you ask for help, okay. And then at the same time, when you may get the help, it may not even give you the direct answer. The person may not give you the direct answer to solve the problem that you're looking for, but it may be something as they're going through the process with you that you realize, you know what, I missed something there. And I realized that a lot of times it's like, that's also trusting and believing in yourself. You're saying, you know what, I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm going to get through. You know what, there may be a time where I have to call in help, but sometimes the help just being there, it gives you ammo to say, you know what, I figured out what I was missing. And a lot of times, again, the help coming in may not be able to help you to figure out what you're missing, but going through that process of just even calling in somebody else and having their presence there shows you how valuable you are, because you're able to figure out that solution there. You're able to figure out where you had messed up. And that's part of life that I'm learning as an adult. Like, and over time, I've learned that there's different things in which I would go through with life. And I'm like, you know what? I knew it. I knew it. Or I can't believe I missed that small step. And that's the times where it's like somebody will ask you, like, do you need help with anything else? You're like, no, I'm good. Because you already figured it out. Like, all you needed is that little bit of instruction, or all you needed is that little bit of presence there to help you get to the next step. So that's another life lesson, I guess, something as far as a adulthood that I've learned, all throughout my 20s. Actually, even when I was younger, I learned I was molding into that, and there was a lot of different scenarios in my life which I experienced, which goes to that same type of concept. But it's interesting, like as a 28-year-old adult, now looking back at life scenarios and even looking at certain things that I'm going through, where it's like, okay, I'm really sharp on it now. So as a kid, by going through those situations, I was confused and not understanding why I was going through it. Now as a 28-year-old man, I'm able to see like, dang, that same mentality that you have now, you had back then. So now you know what that does for you. Now you know like how to position yourself when it happens. So if you get a chance to look at my videos, and if you feel what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, cool. If it doesn't, hey, it is what it is. Like, it makes sense to me, and this is how I think about things in my life. And then, like I said, a friend the other day said, Marcus, you be thinking in the clouds. And at first I kind of took it like a slight bit offensive, and she was like, no, it's not that. It's not that you're not making sense. It's just the way that you think. Like, it can make sense, but it takes time for somebody else to understand it. And at times you have to kind of bring down your thought processes, because your mind is always thinking, and you're looking at so many different ways in the world, and everybody can't keep up with you. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, sometimes I know that as far as the way that I move and think, it can be scattered or it can be all over the place, but I know that it continues to make me who I am, and that it helps me to show up for the people in my life the way that I can and be the best person I can. So I know that it can make sense, but also I have to realize that like the way that I scale to get there, it might take other people longer to get there. So sometimes I have to kind of scale back to make it make sense for people. So that's my word for the day. As always, I'll be talking for a minute. I'm already at 22 minutes on the phone. I don't know how. But this is also something I'll say as well, too. It's funny that I even just said that about the 22 minutes on the phone, because something that I would be insecure about in the past, I'm like, man, I don't know if if I have something where I can speak, if it's like a conference or whatever, I don't even know if I can have longevity in my speech, because I'm like, everything that I'm thinking that I want to say is only going to be like 5 minutes. And as I've gotten more on my phone, on my microphone and stuff like that, I realized that I'm able to really expand it out hella long. Like this getting to 22 minutes, I feel like now I can go double or triple this, but I want to condense it and I don't want to be talking for forever. But again, sometimes when you're doing the work, when you're putting the time in to be able to say, you know what, like I want to be observant of my scenario. I want to be able to try this out. I want to be able to give myself the opportunity to mess up or whatever. I want to allow myself the opportunity to see it in this way. It's like you don't even realize how much time can go by until you look at the timer. And so now that I'm at almost 25 minutes, it's like, man, like I feel as if with all these videos, I get a chance to be able to talk about my life, and I realize how much more that I'm able to share and talk about.